always have a want. Always fight for something. No matter what it is, the fighting for something will always make the scene or take more interesting. There's a lot of times where people come in and they don't have a want. They don't have anything that they need in the scene. They don't know who they're talking to.
Yeah. Who are you
Make
talking
sure
to
that you
and
have
why
a
are you
want.
talking?
Yeah, why are you
Yeah.
talking?
What I love about that too, and what I love about a ton of things in the acting world is what gets you success as an actor. A lot of it is the same things that gets you success in life. And welcome to Inside the Audition, the podcast that helps actors master the art and science of auditions so that you can stand out for all the right reasons and book your next lead role. I'm your host, Joey Freddy Larson. You can connect with me on Instagram at Joey Freddy Larson. And in every episode, we're going to dive deep into audition advice, tips, strategies. We're going to get industry insights, inspiring stories from top actors, directors, producers, casting directors, and industry pros. So, whether you are an emerging actor or you're a seasoned professional, Inside the Audition is your backstage pass to audition success. And remember that Inside the Audition is sponsored by Actors Audition Club, your ultimate resource for actors who want to stand out in every audition and book lead roles. With professional coaching and training, reliable readers, weekly classes, monthly workshops, and an international community of growth-minded actors, Actors Audition Club has got you covered. You can head on over to actorsauditionclub.com for free audition training, resources, and to join our membership community today. So, let's get into today's episode. I'm really excited about this one. We've been waiting for this for a little while. We have a returning guest. Our guest today is Brandon Knox. He's an actor, he's a director, he's a coach, originally hailing from Scarborough, Ontario, Canada, just outside Toronto. You can check his IMDb. He's done a ton of work in TV, film, theater, commercials, and he is one of our regular coaches here inside Actors Audition Club. And he's been a co-host on the podcast as well. So you know him well. To know him is to love him. Welcome to Inside the Audition, Brandon Knox.
Well, thank you very much. Hello, everybody.
Hello, hello. Yes, yes. And like I said, excited to have you back on. It's been maybe 3 years since you were a guest on the podcast.
Yeah, I think it's been about that long. Yeah.
3 or 4. Now you've been on many. But the reason I wanted to have you on today is you had a fantastic year last year. Lots of TV bookings, film bookings, a bunch of theater work. We've done a lot of work together. Obviously, you're helping coach hundreds of actors here inside Actors Audition Club. So I wanted to chat about your successes, about your growth over the last couple of years. But first, just to get into it, the opening question is, can you tell us about one of your most memorable audition experiences and what you learned from it?
My most memorable audition experience. The first thing that comes to mind is an audition for I believe it was a beer commercial. And I got a call back for it. I showed up to the callback and they had changed the spot slightly. It was in person. And based on what I had read and understood, nothing had really changed at all. It was sort of just do the same thing, read the same line, and that's sort of it. And I was about to walk into the room, and the casting assistant came up to me and was like, do you have the idea for what they're going for? And I was like, oh, yeah, I got this. I had been to this casting house many a time. They seemed to trust me at that point. I walked in full of confidence, opened my mouth, and immediately I was wrong. And they had changed the timing of things. That was basically the sum of it, is that they had changed the timing of when I was supposed to hold up the phone and like cheers the drink and that sort of thing. And I was completely thrown off completely from the beginning, and I just couldn't get it right. The director was getting more and more upset with me, and finally I was just like, fuck it. I've already failed this. Let's just do it the best I can and we'll see what happens. And finally, after I believe it was 5 or 6 takes, I did get it right. And it was an experience that I look back on fondly in a way, because as much as the people in the room were getting upset the fact that I didn't know what was going on, I just kept going, fail till you make it is and embrace the chaos of things. That's kind of been my motto for the last couple of years is even if you don't do it right the first time or the fifth or the sixth, just keep going and just say fuck it eventually and just find a way to make it work for you. It was an experience that I looked at the time very traumatically, and I was not happy with myself and I was not happy with what I did, but I was happy that I stuck with it. And I thought, oh my God, I was never going to be seen by this casting director again. They called me back the very next week. It wasn't a big deal. It happens. Even at the worst of times when you feel like the weight of the audition is crashing down on you and you think there's no hope, there is always hope. There is always, it's a job at the end of the day. So
Love it.
that is my most memorable audition experience.
That's great. Yeah, I think we, like many things in life, we learn the most from the times that don't go as planned. It's great when everything goes perfectly, you
Hmm.
nail it, you're a one take wonder, everything is like just perfect, but we don't learn from that. We learn from our quote unquote losses. I don't even see them as losses. I just see them, you either get the result that you want or the lesson that you needed.
Hmm.
Um, Now, one thing that I love about you, and I think that I would guess that I would attribute this to a lot of your success. I think it's two things. I think you are constantly you're immersed in the world of an actor and TV, film, and theater. You're constantly growing, you're constantly learning, you're reading plays, you're taking classes, you're watching movies, you're attending industry events, you're just fully in it. And then the second thing that I think when it comes down to auditions is you're always very well prepared. So let's talk about what you do in your life to remain an actor, even when you're between gigs. So the immersion and how you're constantly growing. Because I think in the last, like I've known you closely for 4 or 5 years now since you've been working with us. And
Hmm.
that's one of the things I notice is you're fully in it, whether you're on stage or on set, whether you're in between gigs or in a gig, you're just active as an actor. Whereas a lot of people, I think, are only an actor when they're either auditioning or when they have the gig, and in between they're like, well, now what am I doing with my life? So I just noticed that you find a way to always be in it. You're always doing something either on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to learn and grow and to remain an actor. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. Uh, What I've started doing is I've set up reminders on my phone, and so I've used the task on the Google Calendar a lot, and so I'll put in do monologue work or read something or whatever it is that I have monologue work pop up as a task 3 times a week, and it's whether I click it as done if I worked on a monologue, if I've read a monologue, or if I'm working on scenes for classes. And those are the criteria that I have for do monologue work. And so that's one thing that keeps me constant is having these notifications pop up on my phone and say do this. And that helps keep me going a lot of the time. And so that's something I continuously work on. And then I'm always
That's
looking
brilliant.
for new.
Sorry, let me
Yeah.
jump in and just address that because that's such a brilliant thing because what you've done is you've systematized your own growth and your own learning with like with something simple like a reminder. So it's almost like it's just going to be part of the week. There's no chance for you to forget. There's not really I mean, sure you can see the notification and be like, fuck it, I don't feel like it, but you've made
But
it
it
an
also saves
automatic
on your
part.
phone until you do it. So
Right,
like it can you can stockpile them. Like there's 3 days in a row that I'll work on some sort of monologue. But like you don't have to work on it just then. It's just
right.
it pops up at that certain time and then you work on it when you can. Like
Yep.
it's like Tom says, love takes time, love makes time. Make the time for it.
Yeah.
And the more you do it, the more you'll feel better about what you're doing, no matter what it is.
Yeah, if you really love being an actor and you are an actor, you want to be an actor, no matter whether you're emerging and you're new or you're seasoned professional, it's that should be if you really love it, it's something that you should be doing whether someone's paying you or not, whether you have an audition that you're preparing for or not, it should just be part of your life. And the brilliant thing about that too is these devices, these phones, they can be a real bad influence and they can be a distraction. And there's so much negative shit that can just send you spinning sideways. But you found a way to use that device as a tool that actually aids you in your career rather than just doom scrolling all day long.
Yeah.
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 What else? So that's one thing. Anything else?
There was a lesson that Tom talks about know your own nervous system. And that is how I prepare for anything, no matter what it is. So that way, when I walk into the room or walk into the studio to do the self tape, I'm feeling good and I've checked all the boxes that I feel I need to check. And so the thing that I work from is make sure that I've stepped the text, which means is an exercise that I do to learn my lines. And so it's taking a step on each word that's in the line. And no matter how many lines you do, you step on each word. And so I make sure that I step the text. I make sure that I have find a strong want, find the story of the piece that I'm working on, make sure that where I end is the opposite of where I begin, and find a way to tell this in an interesting way through the camera, or depending on what I'm working on. Find an interesting way to tell that story. So those are the five things that I always look for and make sure that I do. And I prefer to work on things the day before I go in to shoot the self tape or go in to audition in person. Now, if I audition in person, I usually work on it for about a week before, depending on how much time I have. But on self tapes, I like to work on it a day or two before, so that way I can sleep on the material, not touch it, and then come back to it with fresh eyes and do a little bit more work to make sure that it's in my body, it's there for me to access, and I have ideas flowing so that I can adapt in session.
Go a little deeper on that. So let's say a specific example, hypothetical, obviously, but let's say you get an audition, you get an email from your agent on a Thursday night, and the
Okay.
deadline is Monday morning.
Hmm.
Walk us through. And I know it's always going to be different. Sometimes we got 24 hours, sometimes we got a week, and you're always going to have different stuff going on in your life. So I think a big part of the key is use as much as the time that you have available to you, but in that scenario, Thursday to Monday, how would you break it down and what would you actually be doing to prepare?
Thursday night, I would look at the producers, the director, the writers, research them, find materials that they've worked on or things that I've already seen, and make sure that I know what kind of things they have worked on before, because usually that's something that they're going to work on again. Or tonally, that's how they like to shoot, and that's how they like to work. So make sure I research them. Probably I won't. I'll print off the sides on the day on that Thursday, and then I probably won't work on it, and I'll probably read it once, and that's it. I'll probably read it once on the Thursday, and then on the Friday I'll start working on the lines and read it again. I read everything out loud because I've been working on self tapes so much, and I'm constantly the reader. Now I just need to read out everything and say it. Say all the lines and say everything that's on the page. Then I start stepping the text on that Friday. And then Saturday, I'll step the text again and keep working on it. I like to move when I'm working, so it's constantly pacing back and forth and get I find moving helps me put the words and the learning of the lines in my body. And then, so that way I've learned it on the Friday and Saturday. Sometimes I can take that Sunday off or I'll shoot it on that Sunday if I've worked on it the Friday, Saturday. That way I have it done a day early. But it sort of depends.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Any on the day rituals, preparation, anything you're doing like let's say on a Monday you're gonna shoot it at 11 o'clock. What or anything you're doing Monday morning?
No, not particularly. I like to get away from the material before I come in and shoot it. I think getting away from it helps come in with fresh eyes on it. That way you're thinking about other things. You're not worrying about what you're going to do, and then you just come in and just have fun with it because you've already done the work the previous couple days.
Right. That's the key. You have that luxury because you front end loaded your prep versus someone who's procrastinating and does it all last minute. They don't have
Hmm.
that option, so then they come in nervous. Do I do the lines? They're scrambling, looking at lines, looking at sides, hoping, wishing that they're going to nail it. Whereas in your case, you've done all the work ahead of time so that when it comes time to shooting, you're just relaxing. You can be in the zone. You can be having fun. You can be creative. You can be using your imagination. Now you've been a coach with Actors Audition Club since around 2020. So
Oh,
coming on five years, you've worked with hundreds of actors and hundreds, maybe even thousands now. My question for you is, you've seen a lot of different types of actors, different experience levels. What are some of the mistakes, misconceptions, pitfalls that you see actors make either in the session or in their preparation? Now, you don't know exactly what they're doing in their preparation, but what would you suss out? Whereas if you could just have a face-to-face conversation, and I know we do coach people on this, but if you were to just say, "Hey, I'm going to have some tough love with you," what are the common mistakes that you think if actors were fixing, they would have a stronger auditions that would help them stand out and book more roles?
okay, so this is more practical, right? Like this isn't like okay, okay. I think
Both.
the
If you mean practical versus like mindset stuff, I would love to hear
yeah,
both. Yeah.
okay. I think mindset is self-doubt. I think that's the leading cause of all blocks for any actor is self-doubt and not thinking you're going to book it or or having the weight of booking it over your head the entire time. The more you stress out about how the fact that oh my God, I need to book this, I need to pay my bills and all that hanging over you, the more the cloud of self-doubt just ruins every take that you could possibly do.
How else does
Um,
that manifest? What words do you hear? Like what is it that you notice that actors are saying and how they're carrying themselves? Like what is that chatter? Like just talk more about that. What do you hear people say and where in your head you're like, "Oh, I feel like you're going on down the wrong path here."
they immediately dismiss a take before they've seen it, or they immediately dismiss a take while they're still in it. I always believe you need to finish the scene, no
So
matter what
what do they
happens.
say exactly?
Oh,
What
I
are the
didn't I
words?
didn't say that right. That was the wrong word. Oh, okay. I need to start again. That wasn't right. Stop worrying about what's right and find the golden nuggets of something that of the mistakes that happen in the moment. Some of our most memorable movie takes were mistakes. I think of the Heath Ledger hitting the button in Dark Knight when it was supposed to detonate and it's not, and he's hitting the button and he's like, what's wrong? And then it finally explodes and he's like, oh, and then runs away. And it's a great take. It's beautiful. And it was a mistake.
Right.
It
Happy
it was
accidents, we
supposed
call
to go
them.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah, happy accident. Allow for happy accidents to happen. But people don't. They're so obsessed with getting it perfect that
Right.
they don't allow themselves to have those happy mistakes. And that's a leading problem of the self-doubt is that they need to get it right. They need to have it feel a certain way to them rather than
Right.
just live in that moment and allow for the things that maybe weren't happening when you were rehearsing them to come out from that take.
Yeah,
Um,
it's such a weird because like what is a like it's it's chasing something that they can never reach. When if you're thinking the perfect take or an extrapolation of that, probably the reason that they want it to be perfect is because they are thinking what they want. What does
mhm,
production, the director, the casting
yep.
director, what do they want rather than what do I want to present? How do I want to tell the story? How do I want to be in this scene? And it's just like, how are you ever, unless you can pick up a phone and be like, hey, can you tell me exactly how to say every line and exactly what to do, which is really the antithesis of what a strong actor is. Like you're being hired because you're making strong choices, not because they want to hold someone's hand and be like, oh, get a little louder here and say this line a little faster and pick it up with your left hand, not your right hand. Like no director wants to be babysitting like that. So,
Mhm.
do you think that that is part of it, where they're just worried about doing it right for the sake of what the director or the casting director wants to see,
Yes. They get
rather
so
than
obsessed
trusting
with the
themselves?
instructions of it all rather than just finding ways to tell an interesting story.
Right,
Ultimately, that's what casting directors want, is they want an interesting and compelling story from these auditions. And I loved how Tom Todoroff breaks down the different techniques, yeah, techniques of acting. And audition, rehearsal, and performance are all separate entities. They're all separate things that you get to do as a performer, right? And they're all separate mediums. They all, they all allow us to act in different ways, but you are the star of that self tape. You're the one that's pushing that story forward, no matter if you have one line or no lines. You're still the one that's pushing that story forward, and you are the star of it. Like, there's so many times where people come in with auditions for commercials, and they're so meticulous about their instructions of they have to look into the camera at this particular moment, or it has to be
right,
filmed in this particular way. And like, yes, do your best to make sure that happens, but it doesn't have to be the be all end all to make sure that you get that callback. It
right.
has to be an interesting story for you to get the callback.
Yeah, there's more than just the technical aspects. Like, oh, I shot it in a medium and I shrugged my shoulders when you said so. Give me a gold star. Throw me in it. And the danger in that, and we talk about this, is the danger is if you follow all the directions to the T, especially stage directions, like non-essential stage directions, like he raised an
Hmm.
eyebrow, he shrugged, he said like emphatically, like all the things that the writer says to quote unquote help the actor.
Hmm.
Really, it's throw all that stuff out. And then when they're looking at 100 of these auditions, if everyone is shrugging at the same time and winking at the same time and giving a thumbs up at the exact same time, they see 100 that are the same, and it ends up being the people that do things a little different or make it their own that end up being the people that stand out naturally. So that's why we
Hmm.
sometimes talk like you mentioned printing the sides. I usually either type them out or actually print it out, and I remove the punctuation so I'm not stopping on every comma and every period, and I remove the non-essential things like he shrugs, he sighs, he says angrily. It's like that's up. It's not the writer job to tell me whether when I'm going to get angry. I'll get angry. If I get angry, I get angry. But I might say that same line with a big fat smile on my face and play an opposite, which
Hmm.
sometimes is scarier than the big bad angry guy yelling and screaming. You say it with a nice menacing smile, and all of a sudden you pop out. Anything else? Mistakes, misconceptions, anything that you see in people's prep?
Always have a want. Always fight for something. No matter what it is, the fighting for something will always make the scene or take more interesting.
Right.
There's a lot of times where people come in and they don't have a want. They don't have anything that they need in the scene. They don't know who they're talking to.
Yeah. Who are you
Make
talking
sure
to
that
and
you have a
why are you
want.
talking?
Yeah, why are you
Yeah.
talking?
What I love about that too, and what I love about a ton of things in the acting world is what gets you success as an actor. A lot of it is the same things that gets you success in life. And if you walked into any scenario in life, a big meeting, a job interview, a first date, if you have no concept of who the other person is and your relationship to them, and you have no idea, you don't have any intention on how you want this scenario to go, whether it's a one-off meeting or if you don't have any intention for the next year of your life, what do you want this year? What do you want in 5 years, in 10 years? What do you want in this 5 minute conversation with someone?
Mhm.
It's all the same stuff. It's like if it's not going to work in life, it's not going to be effective as an actor. And if you're ineffective as an actor, you're probably also ineffective in many areas of your life. And I love how those things tie in.
Mhm. And I always think of actors as part-time workers. And I know when I was working at Joe Jobs at Costco and Metro and grocery store clerks, that sort of thing, you always wanted the people that would show up and make your job easier,
Right.
right? You want someone that's going to show up and make sure that they get their job done to the best of their ability so that you can go home and spend time with your family.
Yeah. And bonus if they're fun to be around too.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Yeah, versus coming in, dumping all their stress. They're all discombobulated, immediately going into their stories and their issues and basically bringing all their baggage and throwing it on to everyone else, whether it's in an audition scenario or on set. That's
Hmm.
just like it's repelling and it's exhausting versus someone who's come to play, is super well prepared, on time, and when I say on time, early really is
Yeah.
on time. That's another thing that I love about you, and I've told you this before, but you're impeccable with your word as far as showing up and not just showing up, but being on time slash early. If a call time or a meeting time was 3, then your chances are you're here maybe 2:30, maybe quarter two, 5 2, but it's I can count probably on one hand the number of times that you've been late. And what I love about that, and that's something that I strive to be myself, I want to be the person that when I don't show, everyone's worried.
Yeah.
Not everyone's like, yeah, of course he's not. Yeah, that's him.
Because you get the
He's on.
benefit of the doubt if you have a track record of showing up early or on time. Like
Right.
you get the benefit of that doubt.
Yeah.
If you're not, it's always, oh, Joey's late again.
Right.
Oh, wow. Oh, when is he gonna show up? It doesn't matter if it was your fault or if it wasn't. If you have a track record of
Right.
showing up late, it's gonna follow you,
And
right?
then you're worried about that other person rather than focusing on whatever your job is. So all of a
Hmm.
sudden, their late issues are bleeding into you being able to do your job rather than like honestly, what I want if I want people thinking if it's like 10 after being like, oh shit, I hope he's okay. Was he sick or did something happen? Like,
Hmm.
was he in a car accident? Like, I legit want people thinking, was he in a car accident? And like calling me to be like, are you okay? Not rolling their eyes like, here we go again. And part of the reason that that's so important at Actors Audition Club and part of the reason I'm so happy that you are like this is actors, there can be a lot of stress and anxiety about auditions. Almost every actor has had the scenario when they were just getting a friend or a buddy or a family member or a neighbor to help them with a audition where that person bailed last minute or didn't
Hmm.
show. So it's always been really important for me that when an actor shows up, whether it's virtually on Zoom or physically at the door, that they're not arriving looking around, the door is locked, the lights are off, where's my person? And just even if it's just momentarily, just for a few minutes, the cortisol spike in the nervous system of like, oh shit, am I going to get this done? When they're thinking this is the opportunity of a lifetime, that little shift to put someone on tilt is enough to throw them off their game versus they arrive, we're here, we welcome them with open arms, they log into the Zoom, boom, you pop up right away, rather than looking at a watch and having to frantically email something like, "Hello, are you there?" And then that what's on their mind is, have they bailed? Have they forgot? Are they not going to be here? And then, am I going to get the audition in on time? Holy shit, this is the opportunity of a lifetime. This was the big one that was going to change my life and the life for my family. And
Mhm.
now it's not going to happen. So thank you for all that. Yeah, it's such a small thing, but it drives me nuts. And I know you can't control other people, but if you're listening and you're a late person out there, it doesn't take much. You just leave earlier. That's it. And it's okay to be early too. I feel like sometimes people schedule, like, if you do go into Google, like you're Google mapping something and you're saying, okay, it's going to take me 47 minutes to be there. Well, if you leave with exactly 47 minutes, that leaves no time for anything to go wrong. It doesn't leave any time for traffic, a car accident, maybe you miss a turn, maybe you get there and there isn't parking, so you got to circle around and around and around. And then also you're definitely not going to be early. So it's like, I mean, you've been on gigs with me. We leave as early as we can. Occasionally I am a few minutes late. It's like nobody's
Mhm.
perfect, but I'm planning to be early. I'm not just default being late.
Yeah.
I didn't know we were going to go into a side rant of being early and late, but yeah, we could do a whole separate episode on that. Now I know you're casting a few things that are coming up right now. It's the beginning, it's still early 2025. What are your aspirations for this year, and how are you improving? How are you growing? Like, if Brandon is being Brandon's own coach, what's this year all about for you?
So I like to make themes for the year, and my theme this year is make it happen. The last couple of years, it's been be so good they can't ignore you, but now it's make it happen. And the first thing that I've been getting ready for and amping up for is I'm going to be shooting my first 48-hour film in May, which you're going to be producing, Lars, and I'm going to co-produce it with my friend Jonathan Bosco, who is someone that I've worked with quite extensively over the last couple of years. We've done three different shows together, and we've been talking about getting into the film industry more, and this is how we're going to start breaking in. And we want to produce our own films, and we want to direct them and know how to shoot them and just learn the industry from the ground up and make our own projects happen. And so that's our first step, and it's not until May, but we are submitted for that, and we are guaranteed a spot. And so that's going to happen in May, and that's what I'm gearing
Beautiful.
up for right now. And I'm hoping to shoot another one in October, and I'm hoping to shoot another short film after that as well. So hopefully getting three short films done within this calendar year. And anything else after that is gravy. I've learned over the past 10 years that it's important not to have goals that require other people to give approval. For many years when I first started this industry, it was about, okay, you got to book 6 jobs this year. And that's not how goals should be calibrated, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yes,
it's nice, but there's so much out of your control. It's like
yeah.
yeah, it's like being invited to a party versus starting your own parties. Just
Hmm.
throw your own party.
Be the person that starts their own party.
So, final thoughts here. Tell us, being a coach and an audition director here with Actors Audition Club, how can you help actors, and also how can people connect with you personally?
I like to think I help actors by helping them tell the best story possible for whatever audition that you have. I want to make sure that you look the best, you feel the best, and you're telling the best story. And you have a clear want and you have a clear fight for what that audition needs. You can connect with me at Brandon Knox Actor On Instagram. I don't really use Twitter, and I don't really use much else. But you can connect with me on Instagram at Brandon
Twitter.
Knox
What's
Actor.
Twitter?
I don't even know anymore.
Beautiful. So we're gonna wrap up here. Thanks so much. This was long overdue. Thank you for all your work at Actors Audition Club with all of our clients. Again, I've said this. Anytime it's your birthday or Christmas, you get this in a Christmas card or a birthday card, but it's worth saying more. I really appreciate your dedication and commitment to the craft. I think you're a great example to all actors. You've helped me in a ton of my own auditions as well. And so thank you for all of that work and all the best this year. I'm excited for everything that we're going to be doing together.
Mhm.
And make sure to go follow Brandon at Brandon Knox Actor. That's BrandonKnox Actor. Brandon Knox Actor. We'll link it up in the show notes. Thank you for being here. And if you're an actor that's looking to if you're currently working on your auditions, if you're working on cool projects, you're taking big swings and you're doing really fun things in the industry, then I would love to sit down and chat and hear your story. We do interview actors at every stage of their journey to share practical tips, advice, inspiration, strategies. So you can apply to be a guest if you go to insidetheaudition.com. And one more time, if you are ready to take your auditions to the next level, you can access all of our free audition training at actorsauditionclub.com/free, actorsauditionclub.com/free. And there's a bunch of free training and you can get involved and get into our community. And just remember, all of you listening out there, every audition is an opportunity to showcase your unique talents. It's an opportunity for you to tell a story. And it's potentially an opportunity for you to land your next life-changing role. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Inside the Audition.
Bye bye.